Hello everyone. The main objective of this tutorial is to differentiate between active and passive transport of substances across the cell membrane. Well, actually, cell membranes are barriers between the cytoplasm and its surroundings, also between the cytoplasm and the content of the organelles. So as you can see here, the cell membrane can be found between the cell and its surroundings, such as plasma membrane. It can be found in organelles, such as Golgi bodies, in the endoplasmic reticulum, or the mitochondria. Usually, substances transported across cell membranes include ions and molecules like sodium, calcium, chlorine, water, carbon dioxide, oxygen, glucose, amino acids, and fatty acids. So let us now observe the difference between passive and active transport across the cell. The passive transport, or diffusion, is characterized by molecules moving down their concentration gradient. So these orange molecules that you are seeing now in this picture represents small nonpolar molecules such as oxygen, carbon dioxide, and lipid-soluble vitamins. They can be transported across the cell by diffusion. So this passive process occurs because of the random movement of particles, and it usually requires no additional energy from the cell. So, as you can see here, inside of the cell there is a low concentration of the particles compared to the outside environment. So, the particles will diffuse through the membrane into the cell, down their concentration gradient. But the question is, what can you see happening when the concentration becomes the same on both sides? Well, actually, there are equal number of particles that are passing in both ways. The particles are moving in opposite directions. On the other hand, sometimes the movement of the particles is against their concentration gradient, and this is known as the active transport. We can all notice a high concentration of particles inside the cell compared to the outside environment. So actually the particles are moving against their concentration gradient. But what if the cell needs to increase the concentration of these particles inside? Well, actually it cannot do this by diffusion, since there is already a high concentration of particles inside of the cell. So increasing the concentration inside would further move the particles against their concentration gradient. Since diffusion is the movement of particles down their concentration gradient, meaning from the inside to the outside environment in our case. To overcome this problem, the cell uses special protein carriers which will carry the particles against their concentration gradient by using a molecule of ATP for energy. So, in active transport, the cell uses ATP for energy in order to carry the particles against their concentration gradient. Thanks for watching.